All right, guys, so this is going to be the whole La Mirada pool build video from beginning to end. The bottom right there, you can see what the final product is going to look like if you stick through the video, or you can simply fast forward and check it out. But this is the way the backyard looked when we first came out, basically. At this point, it got overgrown because the customer knew that they were going to do a lot of demo, so no need keeping the grass healthy. But we came in with a little excavator there, and we had to open up that wall because we actually had to access this yard through the garage. So that was a little bit tricky, but not too bad. My buddy Joe at Peak Construction came out, opened up the wall for us, and they just replaced it with a double door French door. And yeah, so this is my excavation crew, Redline. They came in and did the demo for me. They demoed out the planters, all these, they had a couple little trees. You can see all those roots, and there's the leftovers of the planters. Quite a big demo job on this one. The back wall there was a bit of a little hiccup because the footing for that wall was a lot higher than anticipated. So I ended up having to have Odell come out and pour a pretty decent sized curb back there, which we turned into a bench. But we actually found that out later. So this is our first attempt at excavation. We ran into a surprise out here that was quite the challenge. So as digging, right around this point really, we discovered there's some really large storm drainage lines running through this yard. And so of course we do our 811 dig alert and go through all the proper motions for that stuff. Everything checked out clear. This was just a super freak incident where the post office behind this property, there are the lines. I think there was 4 6-inch lines. I could be off a little bit on the sizing. And there's the curb. But yeah, anyways, the post office had these lines running through the property to the front. So there must have been some sort of agreement in the title that we didn't know about and that didn't show up on 811. So this is our second attempt at digging, and now the process between these two events was quite a while, a couple months. We had to redesign the whole backyard, and it was quite an ordeal, but we got through it. So this is the new layout for the pool. Those red lines there are the steps. The blue line is the outline of the actual pool. Now, when we excavate a pool, we over excavate by essentially a foot, more or less. The top of the bottom beam of the pool is about a foot wide, and that's because of course that's going to be filled and shot with concrete or shotcrete, and we need space for our steel and all that good stuff. So this is the time lapse of the dig. Redline came out and kicked some butt on it, got it done really quick for us. The spa is raised 18 inches, so those wooden forms you see there, that's essentially the top of the bottom beam of the pool. So that's finished. That's not finished grade, because then on top of that goes concrete, or your coping rather. In this case, we did concrete. You could do stone or whatever you want. And where the guys are digging here is a little Baja shelf. So a little Baja shelf comes out. Then we have some steps, and yeah, you can see where the spa is raised. This is a really small HOA backyard. Basically 0 lot line, where the edge of the house is the neighbor's backyard. So, you know, we squeezed in what we could. They ended up even making their patio cover shorter, so we even made it bigger than we would have been able to if we didn't do that. Here's our steel crew coming in. This is long swimming pool steel out of essentially Orange, California. These guys are amazing. So this same crew does my steel, and then they'll come in and do the plumbing and electrical as well. And the cool thing about that is those two phases are done at the same time. So sometimes Tommy's my boy over at Long Steel. Sometimes Tommy will come in and get the plumbing in first, or do the steel. It just depends on what the scheduling is. But because it's the same company, they could orchestrate really easily around one another. Here's a quick shot of the guy tying the steel. Look how quick he is. A lot of guys will use a special little kind of spinny tool, which makes it easier, I suppose. But I guess when you're as good as that guy, it doesn't make much of a difference. He was so quick just using the pliers. You can see the double curtain steel between the spa and the pool. That's the common wall or the dam wall. And there's going to be a shear descent that goes over that into the pool. Or not a shear descent, but just a spillway. And yeah, you could get an idea here of the plumbing phase. They got the big propane torch out there for bending the pipe. You can see those, the light conduits, the gray ones, that's schedule 80. You can see that they bent those. And here's Shotcrete. I didn't get a lot of good shots of Shotcrete on this one. But I do have another video of the Shotcrete process on our channel that goes really in depth with my my main Shotcrete guys, Triforce Shotcrete. But yeah, these guys ended up doing a pretty good job. I had to use a different company on this one. Not as good as Triforce though. And it's just a matter of preference. But yeah, so here's our fire pit. They're getting the footing ready for the fire pit. The white pipe there is a drainage line. You see one there too for the barbecue island. So they form up around there, get a nice footing in with cement, concrete, and then they build it up with block, as you can see here. That's Eric DeLoya, and you can see Tyler's butt right there from Odell's Complete Concrete. And these have been my two main guys I've been working with lately. Tyler does a really good job. Eric does a really good job. Eric's guys with the tile and stone are top notch. They do a really impressive job with that stuff. So yeah, you can see all the block here filled in with concrete. We're grouting the block. I believe that's what that's called. That always threw me off because I used to do tile, and obviously when you grout tile, you put the grout in between tiles. But when you grout a block wall, it's talking about filling it in with concrete. But yeah, you can see the forms are up for the coping, and this job is moving along. You know, once we got past that phase of finding those pipes and getting that dialed in, this job really did move quite quickly. We got our concrete countertop put in. The finish on the concrete countertop, as well as the barbecue top, or the fire pit top, excuse me, came out really nice. Eric and his guys did basically a sponge finish. So kind of like what you would do. It almost gives it a really light, like sand finish. It was really nice. And you can see the guys at the back there brown coating the wall for stucco. Stuccoing a block wall really elevates the space, and it's really not too much more expensive to get done, and it just looks so much better than having the block show at the back, in my opinion. Enrique here to the right is one of Eric's guys, and he's very talented. You'll see him throughout the video. But yeah, they got the fire pit cap put in, and they're just finishing it up. There's not a single crack in any of this barbecue top or fire pit top. The guys just did an awesome job. They mixed the mud by hand or in the mixer back there, but you know what I mean, small batch. And yeah, it came out really nice. So the brown coat for the stucco wall is essentially just, I don't know what they use exactly, like spec mix, I'm assuming, something like that. And then they go in with the color top, the color coat on top, which is essentially the stucco. This is the fire, or the barbecue. Both units use the same stone, so I get mixed up. But yeah, so the barbecue here is getting faced with this stone from MSI, and it's a natural real stone, so it's going to be nice and durable. If it chips or something, you're not going to see a weird cement underneath it. You'll just see more stone. That's the nice thing about real stone. This is Enrique facing the stone. We didn't have corner pieces for this, so you can see a quick snippet right there on the left. All those corner pieces Enrique faced by hand. And I mean, here's a quick shot. I mean, you could tell how nice that looks. I mean, it looks amazing. A lot of these shots I took in vertical format for Instagram, so I had to crop them. So if some of the crops seem weird, that's why. But here's the rest of the forms for concrete. We have all the stepping pads in, the coping, which you already saw, and then over by the barbecue is just going to be a nice big slab, nice patio section over there. And yeah, Tyler got all the drainage in. We tied into the existing drainage, which they have ran out to the curb in the front. So this backyard will have nice drainage. There shouldn't be any, pulling up of water or anything like that. And this is pour day for the coping, or for all the concrete for that matter. We had quite a few finishers out for this day. Of course, you're doing coping as well as some flat work. So this was a little bit earlier in the year. It wasn't too hot, so it didn't really take off too bad on the guys. And yeah, it was a nice successful concrete day. So it was pretty straightforward. There's Enrique again. Like I say, you'll see him a lot. He's a badass. He does an excellent job with everything he does. He does a really good job. Especially with the stonework, he really impressed me on this job. This was the first time I used Eric from Deloya for masonry. So, like I say, I was pretty impressed with his guys. They did a really good job. You can see the skimmer lids there, and all the base in and around the pool. That's all going to be turf. So I didn't get a ton of turf shots, but you'll see that come in afterwards as well. These stepping pads were really kind of the perfect size. I want to say they were like 3x3 or really close to it, which is essentially the diameter of a sidewalk. And to have the turf strips in between, it just had a really, really nice look to it, which you'll see at the end. The turf we use on this job is Tiger Turf, and they have a spot down here in Southern California, so it's nice and convenient. And they have really good quality stuff. The concrete on this job, we added fiber to the mix to help prevent, hairline cracks. And this mix was also 3,500 psi, so we do go above and beyond on the concrete than what's needed. Essentially, a lot of guys will use 2,000 or 2,500 psi for concrete. We did beef it up, and we added fiber. It's inevitable to some degree to have some cracks, and especially the pool coping with the exposed faces. So you will get hairline cracks with concrete coping, and that happens. It's just kind of the nature of concrete. There's a couple things you could do to mitigate it, like adding fiber, using a stronger concrete, little stuff like that, which of course we do. And yeah, there's essentially the concrete. Turned out really, really nice. I love some fresh concrete. It's so satisfying watching that phase. And here it is with the sand brought in. So there's some sand on top of the base now, and they're ready for turf. We're getting close to the final stages here. We also poured that little curb on the side there and on the other side of the property to prevent water or different debris coming in from the neighbors' lots. I think the neighbors' lots were slightly higher, so we went ahead and did that. There's the boy Tyler, and here's turf going in. And the turf really goes pretty quick. I mean, I think these guys were out here like 1 or 2 days max. Maybe, I think it might have been 2 days, or maybe like 2 half days, I don't know. But yeah, they did a really good job. And simultaneously, the stone is going up around the spa, the raised spa, and they're working on the water line tile, which is, you can see it right there. That's a 1x2 inch water line tile from Fujiwara, the company Fujiwara. And we bought this nice real stone piece for the spillway, so that thing's solid stone. Nice slab, really nice look. All the components in the barbecue, got the turf in. This job's almost done. We just need plaster. You see the fire pit there. The bench at the back has the AZEK wood top, and we're ready for plaster day. Here's the tools of the trade for plaster. They got the mister there, which you'll see later how they use that. They run these lines across the yard like this, so they could keep their misting hoses elevated and ready to use. And then whenever they're done, they just hang it up on the string. We went ahead with black mini pebble from NPT, and the final product on this black mini pebble came out awesome. It just came out really, really nice, which you'll see in a second. And yeah, so with plaster, they always start in the spa, and then they go to the highest point in the pool, and then they work their way down, because part of the exposing process and finishing process is misting the mini pebble with water. And if you were to start on the bottom, work your way to the top, all the water would obviously go to the bottom of the pool. So they work at the top, and then they work their way down. And they put down these plastic sheets down on the length of the pool at the bottom, so the water doesn't wash out the plaster down there. And they have a pump placed. And yeah, these guys are pros at what they do. Day in and day out, they're plastering swimming pools, so they could do this stuff in their sleep. They're finishing the drain covers here, and that's a really nice look using those covers. That's kind of an upgraded option, which we provide to our customers just free of charge. We include it. And a lot of companies will just throw a plastic cover down, and that's all plastic. But these covers have a finished pebble on the inside, which makes it look just a little more high-end. It looks a little bit nicer. You can see the guy is misting there, and the other guy up top just kind of finishing some final imperfections in the plaster, getting it all smoothed out. Then they use these paint rollers to kind of suck up all the last remaining amounts of water. And yeah, I mean, we're nearing the end right here. It's essentially finished at this point. This job turned out really, really nice. It was a nice, clean, simple design. In between the turf inlay and the cement and everything else, I'm just really happy with the final product. There's Primetime's pool plastering truck. And there's the final product, guys. As you can see, the black pebble on the inside isn't too dark. It has a really nice, pretty color. The fire pit turned out great. Everything turned out really, really nice. I'm really happy with the product. The final product, rather. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. Thank you.